All right, so just wanted to say 2020 has just been an insane year for so many traders. I see so many people that have been studying over the years from 2017, 2018, 2019, and just absolutely crushing it this year. And that's just the market that we've been in where there's just so many opportunities every single day. Everything's running from Bitcoin to EV to the weed stocks and so many more sectors, the drone stocks, and it's just absolutely been unreal. Um, People that are new, like this, if this is your first year, don't feel bad at all that maybe you're not nailing or you think you should be doing better. Because I remember in 2017, that was my first year of kind of figuring everything out. I saw so many people nailing like ducks and rolling. Um, that's kind of me, Kyle, and Matt now. Like the ducks and the Roland. They were doing really well in 2017. Even Huddy was doing really well 2017, 2018. And basically, I made nothing that year. Like I think I was down like $1,000. Um, but I just watched the market and learned kind of how these traders go about it and just really just gaining the experience of seeing the market every single day and how these traders execute. That's really what does it is just learning from transparent traders is definitely number one. Seeing all the trades that they make, everything that people do, live commentary is great, um, and just watching and observing. And that's what I did when I first started, and I wasn't making any money at all. So just want to get the new guys out there a little thing not to feel bad, you know what I mean? Because I didn't really feel too bad in 2017 just because I know this is a lifelong process. And I was just, I think I was like 19 at that time. So I just didn't expect much. So just going in with the right expectations. But then as I saw the next hot market in 2018, that's when I started kind of figuring everything out, taking some trades. It's when I was over PDT. So I started making some trades and it didn't really go so well, especially because I started off trying to short. And just in this market, like shorting is not easy. If you look at ALPP, this stock's ran from a low of like 5 cents to $4.80. And that's just absolutely insane. And these stocks just keep going. It's really impressive. Um, all these stocks. And it's definitely a long bias market, I would say, right now, for sure. I'm not so sure on NASDAQ land. I haven't really been trading too many NASDAQs. But with the OTCs, I've been seeing a lot of people just crushing it on the long side. A lot of people, like, a lot of people that started getting it this year just doubled their entire year-to-date profits in this last month, which is almost the case for me too. So it's just kind of crazy that 2020 was already insane, and then December was like a double of the entire year. So just insane, insane action. Um, and it's really just all about compounding. And yeah, I've been sizing up pretty aggressively this month, and that's how I made just under 800,000 on the month. And it really was just compounding and sizing up with the liquidity that was here. And I just really stopped caring about the money and I just cared about the trade. And this is another topic I want to get into is like with the money. Like, yes, a lot of people get into trading because you want to make a lot of money, you want to be your own boss, you want to travel and trade, you want to buy nice things. And that really wasn't like my mindset ever. Um, like I don't know how to spend money. I was just telling Tim and Kyle and Monaco this. I don't know how to spend money. I don't know what to spend money on. I don't know what to do. Like I still grocery shop. I still have a 2003 Toyota Highlander with 196,000 miles on it. I still cook my own meals. I still, I still just do the same things I did before I had any money at all. And basically, I got into this game because I just love trading. Like trading is, I think of it as the most insane like video game that you can play out there, where there's charts and there's these graphs and there's level 2 and time and sales and there's these patterns and there's news. Um, so I just fell in love with trading, and the money just keeps my score. So yeah, someone's saying diamond chains. I do like chains, which are cool, but Tim already spoiled me with a 25 grand diamond chain, um, which is pretty insane. I love it. Super grateful for that. Um, but other than that, like I don't really know. Just grinding out for now, and it's just pretty crazy. Like at the beginning of the year, I just started with just a bit over 100,000. I think my starting capital was 112,000 spread out through 3 brokers. And I think I started with like 55K in my E-Trade account. Hold on, I can pull it up right now. I can pull this up. So, I mean, as you can see right here, started with just 112,000 to start the year, which was from last year, and then after taxes, and I was living in Michigan, so I made like 130,000 last year, and I started with like 29,000. So after spending whatever to live, started with 112,000 this year, and of course I haven't updated December, but this should be just under 2 million before taxes, obviously, but. I mean, this is what's possible with starting with 100,000. Like I started with 100,000. I had the experience from 1 year of watching, 2018 of trying it and failing at the beginning, but then slowly getting it, and then year 3 of it. In 2019, I was off to a good start. I made like 75%, 80% of my money in the first 2 months, and then it just stopped. Like my patterns and everything just stopped. So what I had to do was try to adapt and keep learning. And that was really, I think, when I grew the most after I made the 100,000 in 2019, and then just basically made nothing for the next 6 months, or not nothing, but 2K, 3K, 5K a month, something small. Um, but I was working so hard, and I was trying all these different strategies. And at this time, I was living in Michigan, and I just kept at it, and I kept watching stocks every single day, just like TV. And eventually, when this year started, like I was prepared not to slow down this year. A lot of traders are like, oh, I made X, like I'm done for the day, or I did something, or I'm traveling, or I'm going to live my life, or whatever. And that's great. And that's what's so nice about trading. Like you can choose if you want to just make a quick 1 or 2 thousand in the morning and then go, drink coconuts by the beach in Mexico or something like that. I know plenty of traders that do that and love traveling and doing all that. But for me, that's not what I love doing. I love trading. So it's not about, like getting back to, it's not about the money. It's just about loving the process of trading. Um, and like I want to be the best trader that I can be. And when the market's there, like I'm not slowing down. I'm not stopping. Like I'm keep pushing myself, keep trying to get better every single day. And that mindset over the last 2 years is what's gotten me to this point um, of what I've achieved so far. And like I'm not stopping here either. Like I'm not stopping. I'm gonna keep going and see how far I can push it. But just always being aware of the market, always being aware of what's going on, so I will be able to recognize when it's slowing down and then potentially take my foot off the gas and then start doing other things, you know what I mean? But for right now, I'm continuing to go, and I'm very grateful of all the breaks throughout this year. Like I love how tomorrow's off, and last week we got Thursday or Friday off too, and that's great for me. Like there's nothing better than forced breaks, because then I can really recover and get refreshed for next week. So other than that, now we can get into some questions, some charts, like whatever you guys want to ask me. So throw out some questions. All right, I see some questions. Do you think a newbie should start with listed stocks or OTCs? I want to focus on listed stocks because of liquidity and transparency, but seems like you and Gertani have all started with OTCs. So the way I look at this is basically there's all different kinds of markets, right? You have OTC, you have NASDAQ, you have large caps, you have options, you have all these different kinds of vehicles to trade. And in my opinion, OTC is just kind of like beginner league. Like Sykes always talks about how it's trading OTCs is like playing basketball against midgets. And for me, I just feel like, okay, it's the easiest league. So why don't I try to become the best at the easiest thing, and then I can move up to like the next league. So that's why I started in OTCs, and for me, I kind of just always had a good feel for OTC, so I just stuck with it and kept trying to maximize the best that I could. Um, but I still do trade Nasdaqs, but I'm just cautious on Nasdaqs because they're so fast and they're a lot more manipulated against you, I feel like, where OTCs seem a little bit more gradual and smooth and easy, where Nasdaq's kind of is hard, but you shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm just going to trade OTCs. Like try out both. I tried out everything when I first started, longing, shorting, Nasdaq, OTC, and then when I found out that shorting was just really tough to start with, then I started with OTC longs, and that's how I got my gears rolling. So Maddie V says, was it ever about the money for you? Do you feel like motivations evolved into loving the game instead? Um, yeah, I would say definitely like what piques everyone's interest obviously is, you have no boss, there's no like what I really liked was there was no limit to how good you could do. Of course, there's some levels that you can max out at, but you can really grow a few thousand into a few million and then make a few million. And it's plenty of money, obviously. But yeah, I just liked how you could reach such a high level from nothing. Um, and I love achieving high, whatever it was in life, like whether it was video games, like this is probably my best example. Like I liked being the highest level in the video game just because I liked pushing myself to be the best. So it really wasn't about the money. I mean, it was about the money, but then it was just about trying to be the best. Um, so now I don't think about the money anymore. I think about being the best. And the best, not like I'm not referring to like other traders or anything, like the best I possibly can be. So I don't care like who's making what elsewhere. I care about if I'm doing the best I possibly can. So that's what I mean. Um, Jack, can you explain why you prefer the 15-day, 15-minute chart? Yeah. Um, so the 15-day, 15-minute has always been kind of the chart that I look for. ASTI was a big trade for me this week. Well, not really dollar size, just because um, it was so low price down here in the twos and the dub two and the dub three. But the 15-day, 15-minute really shows you the key support and the breakout and the volume increase. So just looking at the stock, like it had made a nice run and then was consolidating. Um, so I started buying it here and then I added on the confirmed breakout. But the 15-minute, 15-day doesn't really show anything here. But then I would say once we get into this, where the breakout did fail, um, but the 15-day 15-minute is so clear here compared to a 1-day 1 minute or whatever. Like clear morning spike and then like pulls back, and this just consolidates, and then it gets super tight, right? And then it's kind of, it has to pick a range, right? It has to pick which way it's going to go, where you can see as the price action tightens, just basic trend lines here, guys. And then you get the increased volume here, and this is kind of a trigger I can use on the 15-day 15-minute as it starts breaking this range into the 7s and the 8s. Then it's probably going to test the multi-day breakout level, which it did, and that's kind of how I look at it. TAUG. I actually have some of this long over the weekend, but this one kind of shows it too, like just the bigger trend where we start holding these higher lows. Like it creates a low here, kind of creates some support, and then today holds higher and then starts to go sideways at the key level here. And then into the close, we get the volume increase and it goes. So sometimes it's just nice to see the bigger picture. Of course, the daily chart is very key as well. But when everything lines up, the 1-day 1 minute, the 15-day 15-minute, and the daily, that's usually when the best trades happen on the long side. Dang, there's so many questions. Have you always had patience, or did it take time to learn? Um, I would say it takes time to learn, but you just need like the right mindset. So you're not gonna, pick it up this year and then just start crushing it and making a ton. I mean, sure you could, but you probably have learned all the wrong lessons. It's all just, I just understood at the beginning it's about starting small, and then as you get better and better, then that's when you scale up over time. And I understood that, okay, I'm 19 years old, like people have to go to college for 4 years, and then they have to do internships and they have to pay. And I just looked at this kind of as that, where okay, like I'm not going to make $1 million overnight, but if I learn the correct process and I scale up over time, then I can achieve my goals. Like I don't need to make it overnight. Like it's going to be a long road. Can you talk about your worst losing experience? Was that your biggest loss? My worst losing experience, like I lost 37,000 on LKNC this day, shorting it, but I shook it off so quick, where I'll just show you like kind of what happened. So I went long at the open because it was a breakout, or not at the open, somewhere in here, and then I sold, and then I rebought, and then I sold again at low day, and I got chopped out of it, and then it was going sideways here, and I got some again into the support, and then I added some, and then I think I sold my shares at like 5.7, and it just went parabolic, $1 a share with 2 red candles. Like this is a parabolic from 550 to 650, so I got short 625 with like 40,000 shares, and it was just way too much for the liquidity. It came down and consolidated. I covered a little bit, and then it just basically went from printing 615 to printing 650, and I took it off. I took some off up here, and then I got the rest out into this dip, and ended up losing like 37,000. And basically, I didn't really like care too much. I just knew I got caught in a short squeeze, and I just took it off for a loss, and I had way too big a size, and it didn't really like affect me too much because, like I said, like this month I'm not really thinking about the money. I just accepted that I made a mistake. Shouldn't have been shorting with that much size into power hour with massive volume, and I should have been doing better on the long. I think I didn't do as good on the long as I wanted to, so I tried to make it back with shorting, and that was kind of my flawed mindset there. And like I said, like I shook it off really quickly. Yeah, 37 grand's a lot of money when you think about it in the real world, but at the end of the day, still finished green on the day, and I had been crushing it, so it's like it's not detrimental to my account. I would say when I lost my $7,000 on HEAR, someone can link that video. It's a video lesson. Um, that hurt the most for sure. It was like 20 or 30% of my net worth at the time. And I had literally studied for an entire year, worked as hard as I could to get over the PDT, and basically I just lost like so much of my hard work. Like I'd worked so hard to save up enough money, and then it was just all gone so quick, and that hurt the most. And like I could have given up there, but I didn't. I had to reset. I had to create a new process and then build it up slowly, and that was um, my biggest lesson. Michael Good wants to know about my AOPP shorts. So that's a really good question, and I'm happy you asked that because I really want to go over this one. That's why I had the chart up. Um, AOPP has been a tricky one. It started from 5 cents and it's gone up really big. I first started shorting it this day, and I made some decent money shorting it this day. It dropped like 40%. And then it kept going, got choppy, and I thought like here it was just kind of going to be over 40 cents. And then it kept going, just still ignoring it. Then this is when it got back onto my radar. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Um, so then I got short this day, and I held overnight, and I was up 10 grand, and then it squeezed straight up, and I took it off for break even. Um, the next day, they released some news pre-market, and unfortunately, I didn't see the news until like I was like, why is it spiking so hard? And then I saw the news and I took it off. Probably would have been out right at the open if I had saw the news earlier, which is just me being lazy, and I shouldn't have been that lazy. And then I ignored it. Thought about playing this 120 breakout, but this was on a Friday, and into Fridays, I like not to swing too many things because I'm usually just burnt out. And this had weak volume, but then it ended up squeezing out again. And then this day, I shorted it again and started wicking. Um, and I think I had some short overnight, or at the bottom, I was up like 20 grand. Then it came all the way back, and I was break even, swung it overnight, and then it dipped back down to the two support. I was up 20 grand again, and then it just vertical bounced straight from two and closed at $3. And I took my shares off over the 270 level. So that was super frustrating. It was like a 20K win to a 15K loss. And then I was like, but then I started noticing a trend on the stock, right? And that's what helped me today. Um, where this held the low right here, right? This held like previous day's lows held, and then we get the same kind of action right here, the previous day's low hold, and then they do the NASDAQ news or whatever, gaps up, spikes up huge. Um, then this day, I knew what to look for. I knew that, okay, if it holds 350, I need to get out because this has already happened so many times to me. So if it starts doing it again, this day I took it off. Or I traded it really well this week. Like I got burned on it this week. This week was break even. Got burned on it this week. This week I nailed it. Like this day I had shorted the parabolic at the open and longed it a bunch. So I think I'm up maybe like 50K on it this week. And pretty much every day I've been green on it. So this day I shorted the parabolic and I bought a couple dips, and this day I was short, but I was being safer this time, realizing that's probably not going to break down if it double bottoms. And I got out maybe in the 370s. And just another thing that I had noticed, now to getting to the intraday chart and getting into today's trade on it, but um, so when the volume disappears, like it bounces, right? So um, stayed like I missed my fills this day. Like at the open, I only filled a fifth of the size I wanted, so I got short into these bounces, and I think I had like a 420, 430 average. I think 430, and then it washed out really hard, and um, then I covered some like a good boy into this wash, and then it bounced back, and I added some back, and then it washed down here, and I was like, okay, this is where I was really convicted, like, all right, this thing's like over because it takes so long to bounce, and then it just dumps straight away. Um, but they did hold it, and then right when it got to these levels here, like I was like, okay, like the volume's dying down, right? Um, and this is when I get out because when the volume dies down is when they manipulate it super hard, and you can't even fill your shares or do anything. So I got out of my short with the size here, and then unfortunately, they got me back in after these bounces had failed, and I was like, okay, like this might pick up volume into the close and roll over because this is like one gradual long bounce. So I got reshort into this breakdown here, where I thought it was a breakdown, and the volume started to increase a little bit, and then it just held, and I started covering my shares slowly here because I was like, this is just dumb. And then a huge 300K bid came in, and I got a good fill here at 4, and I cut it. Um, so that was my trade there on it. I ignored it for the rest of the day. And this was my best trade on it the last 2 days, where I just really have learned how it moves. So once again, I got partial fill at the open when I shorted, and I just covered it into these dips down here because I didn't trust it. Um, and I held a small piece, risking 410, and then they stopped me out, of course. But I was still green on the trade because I covered a lot down here. And then as this thing starts to fail midday, I'm just thinking, um, like this stock hasn't had 2 red days all month, right? So red day, green day, 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 red day, green day. So it's never had 2 red daily candlesticks. Um, so that was kind of my new thesis on it was once it had 2 red candles, like, and it closed near the lows, it could potentially have a huge unwind the next day. So I got short into this sideways action, slowly building in just because I wanted to make sure like this was gonna fail, and it wasn't an all like a one hit trade and then just wait. Like this took me like a few hours to size into this, um, and then once it started failing into the close, I added a bit more at the close, and we got the beautiful gap down and wash out today. And I was being pretty greedy today. Once again, I was kind of waiting for like the all-out dump, and the volume was huge in the morning. And I didn't cover any, but I dip bought some here at 283, and I sold into the pop at 3 for like 7% or whatever. And then the big push comes in, and then as you can see, the volume starts dying down again. And I was like, okay, this is probably not it. Um, and and then the big bid comes in. Unfortunately, I was looking at something else and I missed my covers, or I would have been out here at $3. I saw this is where Kyle covered. This is where I wanted to cover, um, but it squeezed out, and I had a bigger size this day. And then as the volume diminishes, I just slowly started covering into the dips as much as I could, and then I was all out into these 320 area. And then I had my other account still short that I hadn't covered yet, and then it dipped, and I got out at 320 here. Um, so that was like a 30K trade. Um, I guess at the lows I was up more, but that was my plan. I was just waiting to see what they were gonna do with it. So that was the thesis. And then one thing nobody looks at, which I like to look at, is the weekly chart. Um, So, like as you can see, it's gone up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks straight. That's why I've been so aggressively shorting it and like watching it because I know when they let this go, this can unwind way harder than anyone thinks. And as long as you get a good position, you can just let it work. And that was kind of my thesis since $1, and now it's at $4. So I'm still watching this next week. I don't know what's going to happen. Now it's a lot choppier. I think they'll have a green day on it on Monday, based on how the daily candlestick closed. Um, but I thought we were going to have the first red week this week, and that's why I was aggressively holding this morning. Um, we'll see. And like, here's another thing to kind of like think about. Like so here, there's a bunch of volume and it's slow and choppy, but you can see we're speeding up. Like we start speeding up these 2 weeks, and then this was the real speed up, and then we had another week where we had gapped up. So I thought this was going to be the first red week. So like think about the first red day pattern, and then think about the first red day week. That was kind of what I was thinking on this one. Um, and just very pumpy where it just dumped and they just brought it all the way back. So we'll see. Uh, we'll see what happens with that one. What's your ideal pre-market scan? I don't pre-market scan. I just look at news on otcmarkets.com, and I also do my watch list the night before. Oops. I have watch lists with like all the hot tickers, and like this is what I'll watch, and this is how I find my stocks. Like, um, I just keep all the recent runners. Like I always tell everyone to keep the recent runners on your watch list, and that's how you find plays. Like that's how I find all my plays, is just, Twitter scanning or going through my watch list. Like I don't scan for top percent gainers because that's just distracting me off the plans I already have. Of course, if I can't find anything, then I'll look at a percent gainer. I have stocks to trade, um, and I use stocks to trade to scan when I do, and I just simply use the top percent gainer. But I don't do any pre-market scan because it just distracts me of the plays that I already have from the night before. Can you talk about the recent trades or whatever? I just did talk about ALP and ASTI and TAUG, so I'm going to skip that one. I'll get into some more charts, but I want to get back on these questions. Um, what strategy were you doing when you finally got it? Um, like I've said before, like a lot of times I always talk about this. Um, I used to short, and that didn't work, so then I started logging OTCs. And I don't know if you guys probably don't know who Da Master Mateo is, but he's the one who really got me profitable. Um, and I just realized he was applying all of Tim's lessons, the 7-step framework, cutting losses quickly. And once I got that, I started doing well. Like at the beginning, I was trying to be like Ducks, and I was trying to be like Tim Grittani, and of course, like they do really well, but they had a way bigger account than me. So when you start small, it's about cutting your losses quickly, not doing anything to like crush you. You know what I mean? Like you can't risk a blow up ever. Like it's good to start small, cutting losses quickly, and just learning as you go. Um, so OTC breakouts, OTC panic dip buys, OTC first green days. Those are the three patterns that made me my first 100,000, and those still make me money all the time. What were some watershed moments, lessons that improved your trading greatly once you learned them? Um, so like I was saying there about cutting losses quickly, I'm trying to think about another one that kind of changed. I would say, like this isn't for an experienced one, or this is not for inexperienced traders, but like for experienced traders, the lesson that I learned this year was how important liquidity is. And like I said, like ALP, the volume really helped me to. Once it started getting a liquid, that's when I know they're not selling shares anymore. They're gonna start manipulating it back up. So just learning how to read the volume definitely has helped me. What has been my most profitable pattern? How do you calculate risk? my most profitable pattern this year has been OTC first red day shorts, um, OTC breakouts, and OTC panic dip buys. Like everything that is in the 7-step framework, guys. Like I don't do anything special, and I think that's the coolest part about my journey. Like sure, like Dux was cool because he made a bunch and like, but he was doing something that Tim really doesn't teach. Rollins was cool, but like he was buying like gappers and swinging stocks overnight, and he just kind of had a different perspective. But I feel like what's cool about my journey is like I really just stuck to the 7-step framework of supernovas. Like if you guys haven't watched that DVD, you have to watch it. Penny stocking framework, and it just printed like how the charts are supposed to look in my head. And then I just gained experience trading them and learning little nuances throughout the patterns. But I just stuck to what I was taught, and I didn't go out and learn anything new on my own. Like pattern wise, like I didn't try to develop a new pattern. Like I just stuck to what works. How do I calculate risk? I mean, I just like honestly, like I'm not really sure every time I get into a trade how much I'm going to lose because I just take what the liquidity offers, and this is like more experience. But I just take what the liquidity offers, and then I just cut it quickly if it's not working. And of course, I'll take smaller size on more speculative trades and bigger size on more familiar trades. But I would say just starting in the beginning, just take very small, like don't even think about the risk. Just put in like a very small amount, and if it just doesn't work, just cut it. Like use $1,000, use $500 per position. Use 100 shares or whatever, and just cut it if it doesn't work. When I focused on how much I was gonna lose, like sometimes I would do like how Tim Grittani does it, where he calculates, okay, if I buy the stock at 310 and I risk $3 and I want to risk $500, I can buy 5,000 shares. And I just found when I did that, I just didn't see too much success because I was always focused on making sure my losses were perfect, and sometimes when it didn't work, like I would hold on longer because I didn't want to take the loss. And when I just focus on cutting it quick, no matter what, I just cut my losses quickly and just make sure to get out like quick. And I think that's way more important than making sure like you're gonna have the exact risk. I just cut quick, and that's how I calculate my risk. I cut quick. What do I do when the market closes for preparation? I go through my trades from the day. I kind of take a step back because after market closes, nothing's really moving. So I take a step back and I figure out where I could have done better, what I missed, where I could have taken more size, where I could have taken less size, and just kind of figure out, like I said, on the LLPP chart, like this was the best cover and I missed it because I was looking at other stocks, so I had a cover here. But I could have done better covering here, and that would have saved me some profits. So I just go back and I look at what I did and how I could get better. How much of my profits came from listed stocks? So I'll just show you guys. So this is what I have on my Excel sheet. And this is with not this week or some trades last week updated. So this is just how I calculate everything, and like these aren't up to date. Like nothing is up to date. It's behind by a couple weeks, and my fees aren't calculated properly. But this is just how I look at how much I make, and this is also something I always preach to everybody: is track your strategies. Okay, track all your strategies. So if you're buying stocks pre-market, track Um, if I buy stocks pre-market, like how do I do? And if you have a 30% win rate trading pre-market and you're not tracking that, like how will you know? And you do well the first hour. Like you need to be tracking everything. So this for this year, like I tracked month by month, strategy by strategy. Um, so basically, but the question was how much have I made on Nasdaq's versus OTC? So Nasdaq's, I made like 300,000 this year on Nasdaq's, and this was my first year being profitable with Nasdaq, so I'm okay with that. Um, Next year I have a way better um, idea of how I want to trade Nasdaq's, so I will be making like this is all going to get more detailed next year because I know my strategy even more now. So but this is how I start. And if you look at like my 2017 Excel sheets and stuff, like this is just every single year I got more advanced. So 2017 was just very basic things, and then 2018 a little more complicated, 2019 a little more complicated, and then 2020 this is what I have. But just making sure that I'm always getting better every single year and always being more detailed. So Tommy D says, I'm sick of making 2 to 3% of my trades. How do you find conviction in your long setups to sit through small pops and sideways price action that these OTC trades have been doing lately? Um, well, I would say your problem is you either have too much size and you're not okay with accepting the loss if it fails, or number two, I would say that, like I said, you're not tracking your trades, so you don't know, you don't have any conviction. Like I track all my trades, so I know what works for me, and why am I going to sell for 2 or 3% when that's not like that's not what happens when these stocks, like I'm not judging stocks based on a 1 minute, 1 second time frame. Like they have to, like with ALPP today, um, like this, in my opinion, this for the best price, yeah, this is the best cover, but this is the best cover in my opinion because this is when the trend changed. Um, this is when the volume got light and the big bid came in, and this is when the trend changed. But like this is not where I want to cover because it hasn't proven to me yet. So it's just I just wait till the stocks prove to me that okay, the trend's changing, or so that's why I can sit through dips and pops because of all those reasons. The last 3 years watching the OTC market, what do you see that gives you conviction to take a trade? You say you understand the OTC market well. What makes it comfortable for you to trade? Um, the level two and the time and sales and the charts and the patterns make way more sense to me compared to Nasdaq stocks where you have algos and massive manipulation and huge money, um, where it's just more unpredictable and harder for me to trade. Where OTCs are just way smoother. What advice would you give to someone who's building their account to get over PDT? Should we be using margin or cash? I choose cash so I could trade every day and get reps. Yeah, I like the cash account idea where you trade, if you have 10 grand, you have 10K to trade with instead of the PDT, and just take smaller size and get the reps in. Um, like I said, or not like I said, something kind of like think about is like if like working out, right? So some people go for, okay, I'm just going to do 2 to 3 reps of, massive weight. And I feel like that is trading under the PDT where you just rep it out a few times, but you're doing massive weight. Whereas I feel like the cash account is, you're doing 5 sets of 12 reps where you're getting in more reps every single day. And in my opinion, like that's how like I like to work out where I could train longer and like I don't want to train harder. I want to train longer. I want to get more reps in. I want to get more experience. I don't want to just go all in on, a few trades and, go really heavy on those. I'd rather get more reps in, if that makes sense. Moonshot congratulating me. Thanks, man. How do you get so exact at predicting bottoms and tops like like this morning? I don't predict tops and bottoms. I just react. It's just I don't know where it's gonna bottom. I just sit and wait and wait and wait, and then when I see something, potentially, then I get in, and I have an idea, obviously, of okay, like this is potential support, this is potential resistance, but I always wait for the level 2 and the time in sales and the time of day to confirm. Like I have a thesis, like okay, like this is a support or this is a resistance, and once it hits that, I see how it reacts, and also, I'm not perfect. Like my win percent's only like 60 something, like 63. Like that, I'm only winning. I'm losing a third of my trades. So like I'm wrong all the time, and that's okay to be wrong because I just get out quickly, and it's okay to take a paper cut because you gain knowledge through that loss, through that small loss. Like for Gaxi, for example, today. Like I started dip buying this right here. Like this was a panic from 3.5 to sub 3, 2.8. So this was a nice panic, and I went long at 285. And once it popped up and there was huge sellers right underneath 3, I just got out because I knew that okay, this is a chart going red for the first time in 3 days. Ignore this print; they just screwed up the chart. But this is a chart going red for the first time in 3 days. And there's big sellers here, so I just got out. And I gained knowledge, seeing how heavy it was at this area, and it was fine because I just was break even. And then it came down here, and then I added some because this is, or not added some, but rebought because this was increased volume. So I got in at 265, and it bounced a little bit, and I sold some at 2.8 because it was still staying heavy, and it was using this low as resistance. And then it came back down, and I thought it was double bottoming here, so I got back in the 2.6s, and I wanted to see it pop over the resistance and kind of sell into this 2.93 area from 2.6, and basically it failed, and I just cut. And then I was like, okay, like this thing, I need to give more time. It's not working. And then I just wait, and then it comes down and it panics here, and I missed it. I was eating lunch. I probably would have bought here and then just been out again. So as you can see, like wrong, 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 and okay, I'm down a few $100, and then when this comes down here with the big volume right at 2, and Sykes always talks about this, when it takes out a key level, but it doesn't go much lower from the key level, like then that's usually going to indicate the bounce. Like for example, it took out 3 here and it kept going like lower, but like here it took out 2 and like it just printed a few under here, and then this was my indicator to go long, and I went long there, and then I just sold 2.2, 2.3. Last of my shares up here at 2.4, and since I cut quick, I gained knowledge, and like I said in the room, I was like, okay, it feels different this time because instead of just getting met with sellers at every single level, now, this is the most it's ever grinded up, right? If you just look at a bigger picture, like, yes, it grinded up a little bit here, but it was mainly going sideways. Like, this was bouncing and grinding up. And then it came back down and up here. Sold the rest of my shares just into this resistance, which turned out to be support. And it just kept going way higher than I thought. So, I mean, it almost bounced 50%. So I was just gaining knowledge on the way down, just taking small losses. And then once the bottom was in, then I had a nice trade on it and it ended up making like just under $4,000. So that's how like cutting losses really is good, because I just kept a fresh mindset. And just being experienced, I know that, like, that's what I mean, like, predicting bottoms. Like, I don't predict bottoms. I just try, and then if I'm wrong, I cut, and then I'll try again. If I'm wrong, I'll cut again, and then maybe eventually I'll get it, and then I'll be able to know, like, okay, this is it, and maybe be a little bit more patient or have a little bit more size because I've gained so much knowledge from the stock. That makes sense. Red Wagon Rider says, main question for you. In regards to your setup tracking and how you evolved, I have studied your past webinars and understand how you track, but how has that data evolved into rules that you consistently use to capitalize on our main setups, looking at OTC first red day, OTC breakout, OTC first green day? Okay, so this is a good question. So how has my data evolved into rules? So I would say that, okay, I'll take the most size on OTC first red days because that is my best setup. So that's what deserves the most size. And then I would say just knowing, I would say the data is good. Like the data is good just for me to know, but I think it's more, like I don't know how to explain this correctly, but it's the experience of trading all the setups numerous times. Like Tim Grattani said, like he was talking about his BITW short, and he was just like, yeah, it was just an OTC first red day that I've done 1,000 times. And doing that trade 1,000 times is what gives you the experience. And then I think the data tracking just reinforces to make sure that you don't have the wrong approach on it. So it just like reinforces what you think, right? So it just kind of reinforces everything. The data just gives you the conviction, right? Where like you kind of have like a thought, but you have to have the data to confirm it. Like it's this, okay, I found the perfect analogy. Like I was saying earlier, I don't predict the bottoms, but I have an idea of where the support and resistance is. So it comes down to the same thing where I have an idea of what strategies work for me. Like I know where the support and resistance is, but then I have the data, which is the level 2 in tape, to confirm that, okay, this is correct in what I'm seeing. If that makes sense. When buying a breakout, do you wait for it to break out convincingly or before the breakout hits? It's all about sizing in for me and gaining experience through the stock once again, where I just like to slowly size in. Like a lot of times, I'll just take a dabble into, like before the breakout happens when volume starts coming in. AITX is a good one. I nailed this one yesterday. So once again, there's a fake print here, so sorry. But basically, I ignored the stock back here, and this stock proved to be a good breakout stock, where it broke out. Even back here, it broke out 1, 2, 3 green days, 2 red days, set back up, and then broke out again, and then gapped up huge. So now that it's in my price range, I know the stock can gap up and does follow the framework, right? So we're getting gap ups and we're getting spikes. I'm so sorry, like the daily chart's really messed up, so it's hard to tell. But I'll explain to you like how I got into this early. The daily breakout was 3.3 up here, or 3.5. I thought it was 3.3. The daily breakout was up here, and I've seen this stock. I traded a little bit this day, and then this day I wanted it to panic big. We were all like rooting for it, like come on, big panic, like big panic, and it just never had a big panic. So that's giving me knowledge that, okay, it's not panicking big, so this potentially can grind back and re-break out, which is exactly what it did. Um, so it sets new levels and it grinds back, and then coming into the afternoon, um, it's just setting a very clear support level here underneath the breakout right at the 3 cent level, which is a whole, like a whole dollar, but a whole penny per se. And I actually started in super early on this one. My first shares I bought here at 283. Um, just seeing how it was creating the support going into, this is 1250. So going into the afternoon, we're holding support. Um, and I was just risking it off 275. So I'm just taking a very small feeler on this trade just to start watching it in case it does break that 3 cent level. Like I think I started in with 170,000 shares here. Like literally, I was risking um, like 200 bucks. And this trade then confirmed my thesis, like, okay, yeah, we might break out. And then when we have this huge increase in volume here, I added a bunch, as much as not as much as I could. I should have had more, but since I took the loss on ASTI, if you guys are following me, I took a loss on that yesterday. I didn't take as much size. So I did take like a 920,000 shares, and then my average was 295 or something. Like my average is right here, and then I'm changing risk to 2.8. So now I'm risking like 1,500 bucks. If it fails, I could always get out early too. Like if it sets a new risk level and then it cracks, like I could get out here at 310. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by just like my risk levels are always like they could always be influenced by the stock. So I let the stock just kind of tell me what to do. But basically, the stock spiked into the breakout level, and I just sold like 100,000 shares just to lock something in. And that's what I always like doing too, is just selling a little bit into the first move, just so you can lock some in and just know that like it's not hard for you to sell. Like sometimes when you don't lock any in, it becomes this all or nothing trade where I either want it to go all the way or I'm just gonna like let it die on me. So I'm a big advocate of always locking in. Like if it's a 10th year position, just sell a little bit, just so I just feel like it helps with your overall read on the stock. So I just sold some, and like as you can see, getting back to your question, now I'm positioned myself 295 with like 800,000 shares, and I dropped the ball here where I should have then added more once it started confirming the breakout, but I didn't because I was tired from ASTI, and last breakout didn't work. But as you can see, like we're holding big volume. Like the volume from the morning compared to the afternoon is huge. And then we start uptrending, and I don't think I sold any here. And then once we started getting into the 3.9, the 4s, I started scaling out, and that basically is how I traded that one in the afternoon. And then I held some overnight. I held like 250,000 shares overnight. And I didn't sell at the open, and then it came down, and I sold down here when I thought it was going to go red at 235. And then once I realized that, okay, like I got shaken out, like I'm not gonna cry about it and be like, oh, I got shaken out. Like I'm trying to get back in right away. And I filled like 600,000 shares at 4.4, and then just risking this 4.3 level. And I got back in, and then as it spiked, I think I sold my first piece here at 4.7, scaled out more into the 5, and then sold my last at 5.2. And that was how I played that. And then basically, then the trade got a little choppy for me. Then I rebought some down here at 4.8. Didn't sell anything into this pop, and then it failed. And then I sold somewhere in here as it was going to go red. Didn't touch it for the rest of the afternoon. Didn't touch it. And then I bought it once I saw it come all the way back down to the support level yesterday where it held this 3 level where I was getting in yesterday. It's been downtrending since 5.5 cents. Now we're down at 3 cents. So a bounce is coming at some point, and I just saw this trend line break here, and this is where I bought, risking the support level of 310. So got in here, and then as it came down, I thought about just selling it here because I was getting frustrated with Gaxi, but I held on. And then it started spiking. I sold some 3.6, 3.7, 3.9. Then I was done with it. So that was a nice bounce trade on it. And like that's how I trade like these plays. Like I try to take every opportunity it offers me. I don't try to just like get in and just, like I said, it's not an all or nothing for me. It's how can I trade this stock the best of my abilities, the safest as possible, and that's how I traded that one. And I was pretty happy with the trade overall on it. I'm not even sure how much I made on it because E-Trade is screwing up. So I'll see you tomorrow.